Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So, from seeing some of the potential impacts from the teasers, melee buffs, and based on, I guess, my gut feel over the many years that I've been playing this game around the potential nerfs that I see in builds league on league, it's guided me to come up with some assumptions of what I think based on the chats in stream, as well as some of the statistics that we can see on POE Ninja around what we'll have as far as nerfs and buffs. So this is my 8 cents worth in what I think will survive in the 3.25 league and what I think will probably get smashed with Nerf Hammer. Okay, so before we get too deep into this video, I thought I would also put it out there that if you haven't subbed to the channel, make sure you
do it. Do it now.
I've been waiting so long to use Arnie memes in these videos. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I think that GGG are going to nerf for 3.25 will be the Adorned. So basically this is a jewel that you stack corrupted magic jewels with, and essentially it's resulted in 21% of all builds at the current point of the league using this and utilizing it to essentially play skills that otherwise weren't playable previously. I have a feeling, based off previous experiences, when something is played this much in a league, that GGE will likely smack this with the Nerf Hammer. So I wouldn't be surprised if they retune it to take it down from 150% to something like 110 or 115%, or maybe even lower to like 80% or something of that nature. But this is definitely on the top of my list of what I'd expect them to be nerfing in the next league. The next nerf I think is going to make its way into 3.25 will be Lancing Steel of Spraying, mainly because 9% of the entire player base is using it, in particular for Detonate, Dead of Chaining, cast on crit. So sorry Rue, this one's probably going to get hit with the Nerf Hammer as well. Okay, so the third thing I think will get hit with the Nerf Hammer is going to be Manaforged Arrows. So currently 14% of players are using this to stack mana on the Hierophant class in particular, and these build some of the deepest delvers in the league. It's an absolute cheese the game sort of build configuration. But also beyond this point, it's also throttled up the Deadeye into the position of #1 as far as the most meta ascendancy. And mainly this is because it's propping up lightning arrow builds in particular. And it's just in a position where it just absolutely dominates currently. And I can't see GGG allowing that to continue into the forward leagues, especially if they're going to be shaking the meta up leading into Path of Exile 2 and whatnot. So I suspect there might be a bit of a nerf coming to Manaforged Arrows, or at least mana stacking in some capacity or form. Okay, so the next one is for armor stackers. So I put a video up last night talking about the impact of determination and the potential for melee to be buffed. So this could also result in mana stackers being nerfed to some degree as a result, to bring them back down to a level par and allow for GGG to basically upset the current meta and configuration of melee to bring it up to an acceptable level-ish. Anyway, I think this might have potential for another nerf that could be coming into this league with the change to determination. Alright, another few skills that are getting absolutely overly abused in the previous league, which were introduced in 3.24, are automation and call to arms to automate war cries and or instacast skills. In particular, automation's been used for 42% of players currently in the league, and call to arms is being used at a rate of 38% at the current point of the league. I reckon, if anything, it'll be a slight nerf to retune them down to make them less appealing than what they are, because right now they are absolutely killing it on the appealability scale to be able to automate entire functions of your build. Okay, so it's probably not all going to be doom and gloom. Hopefully we get some buffs. So here's 3 that I think we might potentially get. Okay, so one of the things I think they could be changing, which could be arguable as to whether or not it's a nerf or a buff, would be significant changes to Spectre banking. So for anyone who's played Detonate Dead, basically a Spectre bank is your reserve of corpses you ascertain from generating Spectres. Now, with the changes to Wraithlord, what this meant is you could have up to, 14 Spectres that you could then release into your Spectre bank. And what GGG also did was put in T17 maps that were totally out of control as far as the new Spectres that you could get with the health rolls. And essentially, there was a creator by the name of Black Rose Garden who came up with a calc of about an 81% increase in overall detonate dead damage, versus what it previously used to be, with the highest level Spectre dropping from Cathedral Rooftop being the Katavis Herald. So part of the issue here is the fact that the game allows snapshotting and Spectre banking in the first place, and I think a buff could be simplifying that system and making it somewhat different to make Detonate Dead more consistent across the board. So it's one of the reasons why Detonate Dead is so powerful. It got totally out of control again in 3.24, and this is definitely something that you could either construe it as a nerf or a buff, but I think needs to be addressed by GGG at this stage. Okay, so another buff I'd really like to see in the 3.25 league would be just around an overall overhaul of minions as well while they're at it, mainly because they're riding the hype off of the POE 2 witch footage that just came out around having minion armies, and this is something that people are most likely really excited to want to get into Path of Exile and try now, in particular new players, but at the current state of the way that minions operate within the game, they're just not really that good, not like how they used to be many leagues ago. So this would be one thing I really hope to see in Path of Exile 3.25 is a bit of attention given back to minions and make itemization around minions just a little bit less prevalent, and then balance the minion skill gems to somewhat of a degree. And very much this could lead back into melee buffs and changes to the Dissemination and Armor and Overwhelm if that's something that they're looking at changing, and could be an opportunity to bring back things like the old Carrion Golem builds, or bring Zombie Mancers back into the fray, or Skelly Mancers back into the fray as well. Finally, the last buff that I think might be making its way into the game is one I've already done a video about, but melee. I think there will potentially be a full melee rework. It definitely sort of alludes to that off the changes to armor, and Sir Gog's done videos about it. Subtractum stream today was about melee being potentially buffed. So, you know what? I'm absolutely on the bandwagon that there could be some changes coming in for melee. Ideally, retuning Overwhelm or remove it entirely. Buffing flat melee skills themselves would be great, and potentially removing totems out of the game and embedding the totem buffs within melee skills to some capacity, and then allowing us to tune on top of that would definitely help. Number tuning, I know GGG is not on the page for number tuning, but definitely start increasing those flat numbers, min-max numbers. That'll get us over the line. Basically, they need to bring melee up to a level that is equivalent with Bone Shatter, because Bone Shatter is a great example. I have a feeling that this might be the league that happens in, which is why I also feel like minions could be getting some attention to this as well, because many minion skills are physical damage or melee based. So, except for like Skelly Mages and a number of Spectres. But yeah, I feel like that could potentially be a buff that we could be looking forwards to. And you know what? I don't even care how much copium I need to inhale for that. I love melee, and yeah, so I'm going to say that potentially could be a buff that's on its way for 3.25. Okay, so hopefully I'm on point with the buffs here, at least some of them. And as far as the nerfs, unfortunately, GGG has a pretty prolific history of hitting the skills that we like the most, and all the skills that enable us to play very particular build types. The Adorned sticks out to me, and that one upsets me if it does get nerfed, because it's definitely going to make it a lot less valuable in Delve, which is obviously my favorite mechanic. So aside from that, I have been working on Shield Crush in the background, and I do intend on playing that in League Start, and there will be a League Start guide for that. And it looks like we may also be doing a League Start guide before next week, or by next week, for the Spectral Shield Throw Champion, as in the cold variation. But yeah, we'll see how we go time-wise. Anyway, all that being said, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next video.